Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I appreciate that. And I continue my quest to review all the games in my Steam library. And I'm doing that from A to Z. I'm still, busy with the A letter. And next up is Advent Rising, originally released on Xbox in 2005. And this was, and still is, for the time, this was a very ambitious game. The premise here is that an alien race threatens human existence, and you, the character, I don't even know his name, but he is in the midst of things. And the many very lavishly produced cutscenes and the great classical score really suggest an epic story. And the idea of this alien race and human existence and in peril and you know, the catastrophe that's going to take place is a very interesting theme, and you can tell really good personal stories within that context. Unfortunately, the characters in this game feel quite shallow, and before you get any connection with them, they sort of die. So, besides the main character, that is. But it's you really want to care for the things that are going on, but you just can't because you're not spending a lot of time with these characters. Now, let's talk about the graphics. I can't really criticize a game for having outdated graphics, all right? And since this game is from 2005, obviously the graphics look old and sort of plain and not very detailed, and the levels and the environments you will go through look kind of empty. But even so, it has its own style, I think, and I think they could have done so much with this. Like for instance, if you choose a more of a comic book style graphics, like in Borderlands, for instance, that could easily stand the test of time because it's so distinct, right? So I just think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity here that the graphics kind of look comic book style, but not that much. They also went for somewhat of a realistic look of things. But I do recommend you download the unofficial patch 2.0 that will restore some of the cut content of this game and also offers higher resolutions, which just helps, playing this so many years later. Now, if only the gameplay would have been fun and epic like the whole theme of the game, but unfortunately, again, the first half of the game really boils down in third person, running and gunning through, pretty empty corridors, pressing the occasional button to use an elevator to move up or down, and that's pretty much it. There is no real reward for shooting things, and the shooting starts to feel quite repetitive and boring after a while, and things are not helped by the pretty archaic feel of the controls, especially the targeting system in this game. It kicks in automatically and overrules everything. It overrules the camera, and the right thumbstick on your controller is also used for the camera and is also used for switching targets when you want to shoot various enemies that are coming at you, which is really confusing. It's very difficult to explain, but just imagine the right stick using it for targeting as well as the camera is just very, very confusing. Also, driving in this game is a pain as you also steer with the right thumbstick and use the camera with the right thumbstick. So it's pretty bewildering, this game, in terms of the controls. And many times I got stuck on something in the environment. So it seems like the collision detection or something is just way off in this game. Almost to a point where I just didn't want to play this game anymore. But then halfway through the game, you get these what I call force powers to use. And these allow you to blast your enemies or to grab them and to toss them into space, which I have to admit is pretty fun. But still, the controls are shit in this game because you use the power, for instance, with the shoulder buttons on your controller. But again, to execute the power, you also use the right thumbstick that is also used for the camera. So again, it is so confusing and not very helpful. And this game is really held back by the awful controls. But still, the game halfway through sort of amps up the chaos and the carnage to a point where I thought, whoa, this is actually really exciting. Like this level where the whole sort of spaceship is torn apart, and that was kind of epic, really. And I just had to realize that, oh, well, this is a game from 2005, which is pretty awesome that this sort of, this set piece was actually in the game. And so yeah, that made me want to finish the game. But then I got sort of stuck at this point where I just wanted to climb into the corridor and get through the door. But, well, it just took me a lot of time just to continue here. So it made me so frustrated. But in the end, it felt still like a disappointment, as a wasted opportunity. And I think this game was meant to be the first of a trilogy, but they never got around to create the second and third game in the series. Obviously, it didn't sell that well, I think, or the developer or the publisher didn't see the potential or something like that. But I think if this game had a unique character, you know, a character you really care about, who's personally motivated, and just someone to relate to in a way, then this would have been really epic. And I still think there's life in this dead franchise. Somebody should pick this up and do a remake or a reimagining or something like that with modern technology, with a better story, better characters. And then this would actually be really fun, especially the use of those sort of Star Wars inspired powers. So yeah, I had fun in a way, you know, when I got a little bit used to the weird controls, but it never felt satisfying, or it you know, the frustration was always there. You know what I mean? It never felt like you were in the game, and there's always that nagging feeling that this should have been so much better. So that's what I think. Advent Rising. So thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.